In this video I'll be covering the new LEGO Harry Potter Hogwarts Castle sets kindly sent to me by LEGO for this review. The LEGO Harry Potter Hogwarts Castle Charms class is a similar product to that of the Potions class from last year in the way that it completely opens and small things can be taken out of it for play, though the size and level of detail is significantly smaller. When it comes to minifigures, 3 will be included here. Professor Flitwick with the aged and bearded look from the Philosopher's Stone and Chamber of Secrets that has a lovely torso print, while Ron and Hermione are your usual Gryffindor-styled characters, double printed head pieces, but it would have been awesome to see Hermione with a Leviosa and not Leviosa kind of face going on in either of the prints. From the outside, these classroom sets don't look like much, even though the Potions one did have a few stickers and details, whereas Charms class does not. And like I've shown previously, opening it is the preferred way of playing here, removing the black board containing the details for the levitation spell, a classroom table of sorts with 2 printed tiles with the spell and studs where you can place both students, and finally Flitwick's bookshelves and stacks of books on top of which he stands to be seen by his students. A few more stickers for details, but the cool thing here is the contraption with a feather at the tip, triggered by the tap element in the back, for a neat play feature to make the feather kinda fly. The rest of the room is kinda plain, if not for the 7 stickers included, with a few on the fireplace, 2 Hogwarts crests, and the remaining 3 featuring spell names Harry Potter fans will surely recognize. On top of that, one of the printed collectible portraits included in newer Harry Potter products is here, but the building instructions no longer mention the list of 14 different ones to collect when sets from previous waves did, which really won't give people any clue at what these are, and that feels like a poor marketing decision when you'd like for people to buy more sets to collect them all, right? The building instructions do mention the Hogwarts Castle system and how the Charms class can be used with it. For instance, in the Great Hall set you can remove the small portrait collection down in the middle and place it there. And when you remove either the bathroom or Hufflepuff's common room and place the Potions class set there, you kinda start getting the castle vibe out of it, with the closed doors that lead to different rooms. Charms class can also be placed in the Hogwarts Flying Lessons set by removing either one of the 2 slide-out features of that particular product. Little over 200 pieces for a $20 set feels about right, especially when Harry Potter usually tends to be on the overpriced side of LEGO, so I have no complaints here. Overall, this is a neat play set featuring a very iconic moment of the Harry Potter franchise with matching minifigures and affordable enough to be given out as a gift for fans, or as a nice compliment if you're planning on building the Hogwarts Castle system. Closed off is a bit of a weird object, but when opened and with all of the extras laid out, it can be a small display item to have around the house. The LEGO Harry Potter Hogwarts Castle Dueling Club is an interesting take on an highlight moment of Chamber of Secrets, where Professor Lockhart revives the Dueling Club and faces off against Professor Snape for demonstration purposes, while Potter and Malfoy duel afterwards, making the minifigure selection here quite straightforward. And while Malfoy, Potter and Snape have been previously featured in other sets, Lockhart here is outstanding with his dueling outfit featuring a neat print on the torso and a light bluish grey hand for his dueling glove. There's also a rubbery cape element in sand green that does not perfectly match the shade seen on screen, but still great to have nonetheless. On top of the characters, a small fireplace build is included with one of the 14 collectible portraits randomly placed in new Harry Potter products, and finally the dueling arena build, so to speak. It looks quite a lackluster object, but there's a lot more going on for it than what shows at first sight. There's a few steps on either side for characters to go up and sit on the purple jumper plates on top, next to a selection of 6 nicely detailed printed tiles that work really well together. 2 of these and 4 of these. I gotta give it to the graphic designers though, as rewatching the scene for research purposes, the details on these are all there, from the patterns in the middle to the ropes holding the purple arena cloth in place. What isn't great though is how slightly misaligned the center tile patterns are, and how the shades of yellow of the prints don't match either. LEGO needs to step step up quality control for these kinds of issues. But with that aside, when the characters are set up, you can place these special wand elements on their hands to make it look like they're casting spells, and a snake is also featured here, referencing Malfoy's Serpensortius snake summoning spell. But the hidden secret in all of this is a play feature in which by pressing the steps on either side of the build, will make the character on the opposite side of the build jump out, which I honestly find very playful. Taking a few steps away will reveal the incredibly simple nature of the mechanism, which I honestly do appreciate. The price, on the other hand, I do not. This 158-piece LEGO set will retail for $25, which is kind of insane, even for LEGO. That's almost 16 cents a piece, when a nice and fair average for most products would be around 10 cents a piece. I can't honestly see how the tiles, rubber cape or special wands drive the price as high as it is, but all of that and the 4 minifigures must be connected somehow. Being the Hogwarts Castle system set that this supposedly is, even though it isn't a room per se, it fits with the Great Hall set. For that, you'll need to remove the foot tables and use the jumper plates on the floor to place the dueling arena to recreate the scene from Chamber of Secrets. With all of that said, I would not recommend you buying this one for full retail price unless you desperately need the Lockhart minifigure. And even then, I would probably wait for it to show up loose on Bricklink or to find the actual set for sale, as I'm 100% certain that that will happen eventually down the line. The LEGO Harry Potter Hogwarts Castle Flying Lessons is bringing feels of nostalgia with a minifigure lineup that references a couple iconic scenes related to Philosopher's Stone. They are 6 in total, with Potter and Malfoy being well known and previously featured before in other sets. Neville Longbottom showed up in the Boathouse set, but without Gryffindor robes, making it kinda new here. Same for Oliver Wood, dressed casually for the Quidditch practice lesson he gives Harry at a later point in time. Madame Hooch is my favorite out of all 6, with her charming dark blue attire, cloth cape and secondary face print with goggles she usually uses when refereeing in Quidditch games. The last of the lot is a severely lacking Professor McGonagall minifigure, and I only say this because the version from the Boathouse set is miles apart when it comes to the level of details and prints. Her dark green robes are always the same throughout Philosopher's Stone, so when these are both meant to represent the same outfit and one is so significantly different from the other, I need to point it out. The building itself is the second largest structure so far done for the new Hogwarts Castle system, and it definitely gives a bigger size impression if you open it up like this. From the front, your usual Hogwarts stand style castle elements on top of some rock formations, and I get that to make it less boring, details need to be included here and there. But the patchy look with these profile bricks and sand green tiles could be toned down a bit, I think. To the left, the statue with a spear where Longbottom got stuck after his terrible first broomstick flight, that wrought iron structure below that halted his fall before he finally fell to the ground, breaking his wrist. Neville's Remembrall is showcased in this set as a transparent minifigure head with prints, one for the standard look of the object and another with the red smoke for when the user is forgetting something. This was the reason Potter chased after Malfoy, and the pair of characters can be displayed on these transparent stands by the wall with a bit of a play feature on the back, allowing them to move slightly up and down. To the right of the building, not a whole lot going on besides that patchy look I mentioned before, but at the top, another of those transparent supports, this time around for Neville to spin in place. From the back, a few rooms can be seen. The smaller one to the top right could be McGonagall's office, with her window facing outside for when she spotted Potter flying. Down below, a trophy room of sorts featuring that Quidditch Champions Plaque where Harry found out his dad had been a seeker. Nice little reference there for the fans on a printed tile, same with the 2 collectible portraits included in this set that I had the misfortune of scoring duplicates. To the left, 2 of those Hogwarts Castle system style rooms you can slide out. On the bottom, a Quidditch locker room with all the essentials for the sport except for the brooms. A hat, quaffle, bludgers, snitch and the beater's bats. The extra clips here could possibly be used to store the brooms the minifigures have. The building build above is McGonagall's Transfiguration class that can open to be displayed like this, very much like the Potions and Charms class sets. There's places for 4 students and a Transfiguration exercise to turn a glass into a parrot and back. Black Parrot, by the way, is a neat part, only featured before once in a castle set over 30 years ago, so definitely a hidden gem here. The gaps left behind when taking the rooms out of the Flying Lessons set are the perfect size for the Charms class set to fit right in, and these 2 builds in turn can be placed in the smaller gap of the Great Hall set. And despite these 2 sets being part of the same system, they're not meant to be connected just yet, as there's no connection points to do it, further reinforced by the lack of an option in the building instructions. We still have to wait for a couple more buildings to do it, I guess. Price-wise, the 651-piece LEGO set will retail for $80, which isn't great at all, but definitely better than the Dueling Club set, 12.2 cents a piece as opposed to the 15.8 cents a piece of that particular set. Definitely more in line with what I've come to expect from intellectual property-based LEGO products. There's also the 6 minifigures and a significant number of large pieces, which could help explain the price, but not completely excuse it as fair. As a standalone product, I feel it has a lot going on for it as far as play, minifigures and references to the franchise go. And you do get a nice size impression out of it if displayed open like this. If you're planning on building the Hogwarts Castle system, you'll probably need this one somewhere down the line, but I wouldn't rush it. It would have been amazing if we could immediately combine it with the Great Hall set, so people would actually feel like they're building the Hogwarts Castle advertised on the boxes. For the moment, you really only have a few scattered pieces of the puzzle available, and together they don't make much sense just yet. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.